What's going on, guys? Welcome back to F1 23 for My Team Career Mode Season 3 pre-season. Yes, Season 2 is done. We're now going into Season 3. It is the pre-season video. One of the most exciting parts for me. I really enjoy seeing all these things. First of all, let's do the quali head-to-head for Season 2. We did this last season as well. So, Red Bull, TGL Motorsport and Haas, all with 8 all in qualifying. So that was pretty exciting. Very even between all them. And yeah, me and my teammate Sonoda completely even at the end of the season. Sainz and Leclerc were 9-7 at Ferrari. Mercedes, Hamilton, Russell 10-6. McLaren was Norris 10, Piastri 6. Aston was Alonso 12, Stroll 4. Alfa Romeo, Bottas 12, Zhou 4. Alpine, Gasly 14, Ocon 2. AlphaTauri, Magnussen 15, De Vries 1, and Williams, Albon 15, Sargent 1. So no whitewashes from Season 2, which is interesting. And yeah, 3 teams with an 8 or completely kind of deadlock rivalry head-to-head there. So pretty cool stuff. It's just a thing for my own thoughts. You know, I just like seeing how close everyone is. Now, we've got to start off with, after putting a few upgrades on the car, with choosing our teammate for Season 3. And Fernando Alonso is the driver that I've decided to go for. He's not retired from Formula 1 as of yet, so I thought it's probably going to be one of our last opportunities, because I do expect him to retire fairly soon, within a season or two. And also just with the kind of what I'm going for with the livery design for our team this year, I think Alonso is going to be a good fit for that. You will have already seen that if you've looked at the thumbnail of this video. You'll already see what design we've gone for with the livery. But here we go. We are having a little bit of a buyout here with Aston Martin, and they don't really put up much of a fight at all. And we have got Fernando Alonso in our team, signed for our team for Season 3. He's in our old overalls at the moment, as you can see there, but that will be changing quite drastically. Much different car and everything going into Season 3. So here we go. Let's finish Season 2. We didn't end Season 2 particularly well. Yes, we've won the Drivers' Championship, but we did not have a good last 3 races. I mean, Portugal, we did at least score points. I think we were 7th, but had a poor quali. Then Vegas, we had a DNF, and Abu Dhabi we had a DNF, and no pace really in either of those either. But there we go, 4 wins to our name, 2 pole position, and 1st place. And here we have the calendar for Season 3. So we're back in Bahrain again at the start. Then we're going to go to Saudi Arabia. We're going to go back to Australia as well, because I really want to be back in Australia for a race. China for round 4. We're now back at Azerbaijan as well, Baku for round 5. That will be our first sprint weekend of the season. Also back to Monaco and Spain. Had a good run in Spain in Season 1. Austria is our 2nd sprint weekend. We're then back in Great Britain for Silverstone, then to France. We're going to skip a few others here, go to Monza once again, then back to Singapore, back to Japan since first time since Season 1. We're skipping Qatar, going to Texas, the United States, COTA, then to Portugal, and then the season will end in Abu Dhabi. So we're only doing 3 sprint weekends this season, because I really struggled to get the amount of races down to 16. So that's why we're only going for 3, and we've got a couple of races not in there that I would have liked to have in there, but it's just what we got to do when we're running a 16 race season. And this is the car we're running for Season 3. As you can see, it's a blue and yellow with a bit of black as well design. The main thing I was going for here was the old mid-2000s Renault F1 car. So that is one of the main reasons why we've gone for Fernando Alonso as well, just to kind of bring back that, blue and yellow with Fernando Alonso. And I think this looks really cool. It's very different from our previous liveries, and I think, it took me a while to figure out what design I wanted with the blue and the yellow. I think this looks really good. The front especially, with, the front wing with a bit of black, the blue in the middle, and then kind of the yellow outlines. I think this looks really good, especially from the front. Not the biggest fan of kind of the yellow lines on the side, but I think I'll get used to that. As you can see here, we've got all the other stuff as well. I quite like the driver overalls. They look pretty cool. They look fairly similar, I guess, to the old Renault ones. And here we have our sponsor things and things like that. So Duotone, we've got the same sponsor. I'm not sure if it's a different goal though. I think it's like I can't quite read it here, but I think it's get 5 podiums in a season. We're just going to stick with that. We're going for Ferrari engines just to mix it up this season. Ferrari and Mercedes both had the same stats, so we're going to change it up. We had Mercedes for the first 2 seasons. We're now switching to Ferrari, and we're also going to be using the number 1 on our car because we won the championship last season, so we're going to take the number 1, put it on our car, we're going to run that number for season 3 and maybe beyond if we can win the championship once again. Putting on our good old activities right here. Couldn't really figure out what to go with, but decided to go with those 2 options because I feel like I don't really need to boost up Alonso's stats too much because he is already a pretty good driver and I expect more of a challenge from him than we had from Tsunoda in Season 2. Putting a bunch of powertrain facility upgrades on as well. That is the only one of the 4 kind of main R&D facilities that we haven't got to Spec 3 yet, so now that will be Spec 3. Also put another one on the personnel department there as well. Still a couple more upgrades going on the car, and that is pretty much that. We're ready to go into Bahrain now, and this is how the R&D looks going into the first race of the season for Season 3. Mercedes are right at the top, then it's Ferrari. We are there in 3rd place, so there wasn't an R&D change going into Season 3 at all, no change of R&D, but things have changed around a little bit. It's then Aston Martin, then McLaren, then Red Bull. Everything's still very close in that top 5 or 6 there. A bit further down you've got Williams and Alpine, then Haas, Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri still right at the back there, but now it's time for the most exciting part, the teams. And here's a big one, Mercedes. This is in Constructors' Championship order from Season 2. Lewis Hamilton has not retired from Formula 1. He said he was retiring in Season 2, but he hasn't retired. He has stayed on in Formula 1. He stays at Mercedes, but he's got a new teammate, and that teammate is Nick De Vries. Nick De Vries has been promoted to Mercedes, the quickest car on the grid, the Constructors' Championship, the Constructors' Champions. Nick De Vries is now in that Mercedes. I don't know why. I really don't know why. All I can think of is that George Russell's gone somewhere else and they've just had to scramble for whoever they could. This is of course our team, TGL Motorsport. Now running the blue, yellow and black livery. I think it looks, especially from the front view, I think the car looks awesome. I really do like the overalls as well. I'm excited to see what myself and Alonso can do in this car. We got the 3rd quickest car on paper at the start of the season, but everybody is still so close, so let's see what happens. Aston Martin has a completely new lineup with Fernando Alonso going to our team. Lance Stroll's also left the team, and you've now got George Russell, who's moved from Mercedes to Aston Martin, and Ayumu Iwasa, my original teammate from Season 1 of my team, is now back in Formula 1 a season and a half later, and he's in the Aston Martin, which is still one of those top 5 team cars. So Russell and Iwasa at Aston Martin, that could be a fairly exciting lineup. McLaren is our first driver lineup that has not changed. So Mercedes had a big uptick in performance in Season 2 about halfway through the season. It was around Belgium, I'm pretty sure. They started winning races, getting podiums and doing such a good job. Both drivers did amazing. Lando Norris there still with Oscar Piastri alongside him. I think Norris managed 3 wins in last season. Piastri didn't manage any wins, got a few podiums, got a sprint win as well though, so looking good for McLaren. And then we go to Ferrari, who had a bit of a poor season, especially compared to Season 1 where they won the Drivers and the Constructors' Championship. They retained Charles Leclerc, but alongside them is Yuki Tsunoda, my teammate from Season 2. We've dropped him for Fernando Alonso. Tsunoda's found a seat at Ferrari because Carlos Sainz has obviously moved on somewhere else, so that's interesting. So Leclerc and Tsunoda at Ferrari, that could be an interesting lineup. They now have the 2nd quickest car on paper, and Red Bull have changed as well with Sergio Perez retiring from Formula 1. He actually did retire, unlike Lewis Hamilton. They have now been given the services of Carlos Sainz from Ferrari. So Sainz has gone from Ferrari to Red Bull. Red Bull really struggles in Season 2. I think they had 1 podium all season, not a single win. So hopefully looking up for Red Bull. They've still only got like the 6th quickest car, but now Verstappen and Sainz reunited from their Toro Rosso days. Alpine is another team that has not changed its lineup. A very strong season for Pierre Gasly. A podium for each driver actually, although Gasly definitely had the edge on Ocon this season, but they've retained their French lineup at the French team. So I decided to see what they can do. Not the highest up in R&D, but to be fair, they seem to be putting in good performances, even when their car wasn't quite there with the top teams. No changes at Williams either, which is a bit unfortunate, especially for Alexander Albon, who stays at Williams alongside Logan Sargent. Sargent's not been doing terrible, but to be fair, he's only really had like one good performance each season, where he scored points in Vegas in season 1, and then scored points, I can't remember when it was, but he scored 4 points at some point in season 2 as well. And Albon, yeah, a lot of points for him, unfortunately hasn't been able to get a better drive. Haas also have not changed, a pointless season for them in season 2, unfortunately, with what was pretty much a rookie lineup of Jack Doohan and Liam Lawson. Of course, Jack Doohan, my second teammate from season 1, but yeah, Haas will be hoping for more this season. They didn't manage to score a single point in season 2. Hopefully with a bit more experience now of their 2 drivers, they will be able to score some points. Alfa Romeo, also no changes, so after some pretty crazy changes at the front of the grid, towards the back, not a whole lot more going on, but yeah, they retain Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu. Once again, they also didn't score any points in season 2. The final 3 teams, Haas, Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri, not scoring any points in season 2, but we'll be hoping for better things in season 3. They still sit as the second worst car on paper though, so let's see what they can do. But there has been change at AlphaTauri. Kevin Magnussen is now alongside Lance Stroll. So with Nick De Vries, like I said, for some reason moving to Mercedes, Lance Stroll has taken the seat at AlphaTauri, so I can only assume, well, either Stroll has been kicked out of Aston Martin because he hasn't been performing to Alonso standard, you know, got 3 wins last season, or maybe Lance Stroll's dad has gone to Aston Martin, I'm not sure. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.